Greetings. This week I'm doing a reflection on educational leadership, and I'm imagining that I'm having a conversation with a colleague, parent, or administrator about teacher leadership in the science classroom. And I'm going to use the information from my readings to develop and discuss my position. So let's get started. So, teacher leadership. Good leadership actually starts, in my opinion, with being able to be led first. And so, as a good teacher who's going out to lead other teachers and also lead their students, they need to be able to be led first off. And this really means to join with others who are able to show you different ways to do things, whether that be how to organize other teachers or individuals, or how to teach in your classroom. The most important thing about being a leader is first being able to be led, and that means cooperating with others and learning where you can draw your teacher strength. You also have to be able to distinguish what to change and what not to change. So as you're leading in your leadership, you want to make sure you keep the values and principles and mission that you want to keep and figure out what you want to change, and then you can work towards helping people towards some end. Being a leader is not about sitting on the sidelines telling people what to do. And I think it's funny, this picture kind of is showing this leader who's being carried along by all these people. It's actually about taking action yourself and doing the work. And this is whether you're a principal or you're a teacher, you need to be able to do the work. Servant leadership started, well, I don't know when it started, but I know Jesus told us he washed his disciples' feet. This is the way you have to serve. And so service leadership means that you need to take action. Another thing about leadership and facilitating change is slow. So change is going to come piecemeal. It's going to be small little steps, and be okay with that. Another really important component of teacher leadership is that communication and relationships are pivotal to being able to lead. If you can't communicate with someone, you certainly can't lead them. And if you don't have a relationship with them, there's no way leadership is going to be able to maintain, and they're going to continue to be led. And so one of the things that teachers need to do is they need to start from a place of passion. And so if a teacher is passionate about what they're teaching or passionate about some policy change, that passion in itself can be very contagious. And it also will get people fired up or get people at least thinking, why is this person so passionate about this thing? Once you are able to establish what you're passionate about, you need to take your goals and your purpose, and you need to find a way to relate that to whoever you're trying to lead and make that goal that you have resonate with them. Why does this person who's listening to you or going to be led by you, why should they be driven towards this end? What is the purpose of this change? And if you can have that purpose and mission resonate with whoever's being led, then you're going to be able to lead them, and they're going to be ready to be led. They're going to want to know what they can do. Here's a quote from one of the articles we read, and I think this really brings into play how we as teachers have to go about leadership. And here's the quote: "We have placed too much responsibility and too much power with the few individuals whom we label leaders in our school systems." And so what this really means is that the leaders are not just our principals or vice principals. They're not going to do the work. That the real leaders are teachers who are having success in their classrooms and have something to share. They have experiences to share. And so we can be leaders, and all teachers are really called to be leaders, and that is by helping other teachers realize what they can do better, what they're doing well, and this collaboration and sharing of driving towards some mission or purpose in a school. And so if teachers are sharing and they're making strides towards some mission or towards some end, and they're sharing with each other, they're going to be in a position already where they're being leaders, even if it's just with a colleague or an entire department. Lastly, I just want to summarize some do's and don'ts of teacher leadership. And so one of the things teachers need to do when they're learning to be a leader for the classroom and for other teachers is they need to learn about science, they need to take science classes, they need to know their content, and they also need to know how to do science. This means finding a professional development opportunity where you're put in a position where you can do research-based science and you can actually do the grit of learning how to do inquiry-based science as a student, as your students are going to. And that sets us up for the second option. You do need to set yourself up so that you're failing often for the sake of your students. Yes, failure is good. In fact, failure is the only way we actually really learn anything. And so we need to be in a situation where we're trying to learn science, or we're trying to learn how to do science, and we're trying to do an experiment and we fail. And we realize it's humbling, but we realize that like our students, we need to fail. And then we're going to be better able to help our students because we know how hard it really is to do science. But we also know that once we fail, we can move forward, and so can our students. Third thing we need to do is we need to get students working collaboratively together to negotiate meaning and build common understandings when possible or when necessary. And it's definitely not always necessary, but in some cases, students are going to be able to if the experiment is set up correctly, we're going to be able to build meaning, negotiate meaning, and come to a consensus, which often in science is how a scientific knowledge is progressed. Some don'ts. It's really important to never assume you've arrived. Good teachers know this. They don't expect to show up and do everything status quo. Real teachers are learning, and they know that they're never going to arrive, and so don't assume you've ever arrived. Do not isolate yourself. Teachers need to be in contact with other teachers who are also trying to innovate their classrooms, and they need to share their passion, they need to share their resources, and they need to share their failures and also their successes. And the third, don't neglect balance. Whenever teachers are getting caught up into some teaching methodology, it's very easy to throw oneself all into a teaching methodology only to later realize that sometimes a more balanced approach is beneficial to students and to teachers. And so if you're all fired up about constructivism, you need to realize that while constructivism has merit, it's not the end-all to education. Not all knowledge can or should be constructed by the learner. And knowing when and where to use these different tools and methods is going to be what really makes a teacher a much more effective in the classroom. This has been my reflection, and I hope it's been helpful for you.